All right, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Warrior versus Zombie. And today I couldn't be more excited. This is season two, and we're taking our podcast to another level, as I say. We're moving it not only from the podcast platforms, it will be on all the podcast platforms, but we're moving it live in the hive. And if you don't know what that means, then that probably means you didn't find us live and you're watching a replay and that or listening to a replay, and that's totally cool because we're always about warriors moving forward. So let me remind you and those who've either been on our podcast before or listened to our podcast, or those who have just joined us for the first time, but success is a journey, it's not a destination. As warriors, we all have a history of ups and downs, wins and losses that are all part of making us who we are up to this point and provide a foundation for our path forward. We all battle our inner zombie as well as those zombies in our world. In each episode, I interview warriors who are aspiring leaders from all walks of life, entrepreneurs, artists, health practitioners, business owners, really any inspired leader that has a story to tell. These warriors have a cause, unique value, and a vision that goes generations into the future. Today, we're honored to have an amazing warrior, somebody that I've gotten to know really through the pandemic. And I just found out as we were getting started here that she moved from Austin, Texas to Las Vegas. So I'm really inspired now to go meet her and talk to her in person and have a little vacation at the same time. So I want to talk to you a little bit about Tonya Hoffman. Tonya Hoffman, as I said, she's an incredible warrior. She's the co-founder and CEO of BeeKonnected. And if you haven't heard about BeeKonnected, you haven't hung around with me long enough, because we promoted BeeKonnected in our first 32 episodes. She was a founder and former CEO of the Public Speakers Association. She's an 8-time international best-selling author, has been on the cover of 5 magazines, and as a warrior, Tonya created her first $1 million plus per year business at the age of 25. So that was last year, right? Okay, no, I'm just kidding, Tonya. We'll talk about that. Now that we're on video, people will look at it and go, okay, that's an old guy, and I'm not sure about her. But anyway, she's globally sought after speaker, trainer, and really receives yearly awards from international organizations and media companies. So Tonya Hoffman, welcome to Warrior versus Zombie. And how's your world today?
Oh, it's fantastic. You wake up and the sun is shining. So,
So how's things in Las Vegas today? Is it really hot? What's the
yeah, it's actually been pretty cool because it's only been 100, 102. So, compared to when I moved here, it was 120. So, it's very nice right now.
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about the we'll get into your story. I want to hear a little bit about your in the second segment. And we are going to conduct this even though we won't have much pause because we're doing this live and video. But I want to, so in this first segment, I just kind of want to understand a little bit about what you're dealing with today, what kinds of things, how you're feeling about everything. And we'll talk more about the third segment about be connected, why you're doing what you're doing, the value and stuff like that. But just in general, what's your life looking like? Let me learn a little bit about how you're experiencing what's going on today.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. In our journey, and I think that's where your warrior journey really comes into flourishing, is you go through challenges and you have no idea why you're going through them until years later you're like, that was helpful because I went through that. And so a lot of it is kind of taking everything that you've experienced, and it accumulates to the perfect place, the perfect time. And I've always heard, ever since I was little, that in your 50s and then going into your 60s, for whatever reason, your whole journey has equaled into those moments to create something really spectacular. And I totally see that happening right now.
That is so cool. Yeah, I would agree. I'm in the same place. It's really one of those things that as you've gone through the decades, and I won't talk about how many decades we've got going here, but people will figure that out if they look at the video. But yeah, being present in today and understanding that no matter how big the challenge, how many zombies are outside our door or within our mind, um, there's opportunities, and you kind of begin to filter out all of that noise or that history and just really kind of get down to those things. And that's the thing that's really impressed me. I've seen you weekly pretty much for the last year, and I would say that we are very aligned in that as warriors in that respect is that you smile, um, tend to I know one thing about you, by the way, is that you are an introvert. I've watched you. You have to perform in things like this and in some of the meetings, but you are full on introvert. And by the way, I'm a full on extrovert. But I can recognize an introvert just like that. And, and I just admire the fact that even so, you adapt daily and you go through that whole format. So, you know what I'm going to do? I want to keep this on kind of as we go forward with these episodes. I'm going to keep this on kind of a 30-minute trajectory for the four segments. And I really want to get into uh, hearing and having the audience kind of experience a little bit of your journey. That would be fundamentally how you got from wherever you want to say you started to today, what kind of has led you to here. And then we'll take a quick break after that. And then we can hear about kind of what you're doing today, the value you hope to provide if anything were possible, where would your journey lead, what does your ideal day look like. And then we'll talk in the fourth segment really about maybe some questions that come from the audience or, kind of major takeaways that you hope that we have kind of put a exclamation point on it. And then how do we stay in touch with you, which is obviously something that we all want to do. So with that, we'll take a quick break. We'll hear a little bit of, for the audio uh, people, we'll hear a little bit of It's Not the Getting There from Ricky Jean Wright. And then we'll be right back with hearing Tonya's story in Warrior versus Zombie. All right, we're back. It's really kind of fun doing it this way. This is the way I intended, by the way, for those listening, for Warrior versus Zombie to be. But the zombie apocalypse, or the pandemic as we call it, got in the way. And after 3 episodes, we couldn't do live. We had to do them all via Zoom, and they ended up being recorded. So I'm excited about the fact that we're back to kind of a live format. And what that means, you know what live TV is like. There's going to be some bloopers. There's going to be some things we're going to say, I wish I hadn't said that or did that. But anyway, it's going to be fun. So with that, we're back with Tonya. And Tonya, I want to kind of hear, and really, I give a very short synopsis of who you are and where you came from. But share with us a little bit about your journey and what brought you to today and what you're doing.
Oh, it's like everybody's journey. There's crap that happens, and then you get over it. Some people never get over it. It took me a while to get over some of it. And besides this, I've got allergies. Obviously, my eyes are like but when you start looking at your journey, it really is from the things that you can't have any control over. Like, I had cancer. I was robbed and tied up when I was 6 months pregnant. Things like that are huge, road bumps in your life. But yet you keep moving and you keep challenging yourself to get over not only the emotional toll that it takes, but also the mental. And as you go through your journey, you start accumulating some beliefs. And I think that's where, if you see the difference between people that are super successful and those that are just struggling day by day. It's that they finally figured out what their core belief is and they're focused on it. And so it took me a while, to be honest with you, because I was just a mess. Because the cancer and the being robbed and tied up was like not even the big things that have happened in my life. So when I started really looking at how do I get past all the past and move forward, I started realizing that I shouldn't be scared of people because of the things that have happened in the past. I was trying to isolate. You mentioned I was an introvert, and I was very much introverted, very closed off, but it wasn't very fun. And so I finally moved into the position where I started networking. And thank goodness I'm a little bit of a go-getter. So I joined 54 networking groups, associations, and chambers in 2005. So if you're an introvert and you want to get over being an introvert, network your little heart off. And I had a blast because then I realized that there are men out there that aren't just out there to hurt you, that there are women that aren't just going to be talking behind your back, right? That there was these amazing people, and then I started realizing that they should all know each other, and that was so frustrating to me. So I became a connector, and it was just natural because I'm like, what do you mean you don't know David? How could you not know David? And then I would connect because I would see that they needed to know each other. And so that's how it all kind of really came together, is to get over my past, move on, to realize that everything is really positive and there's a real incredible opportunity out there for people. And then, and for myself, right? To own, what do I want? What does Tonya want in life? And how do I get that?
Wow. So I have to say this because it's been the experience literally in every episode of Warrior versus Zombie that I have guests who I didn't understand their story or didn't understand the depth of their story. And when they talk about things like cancer, tied up, kidnapped, hurricanes, devastation, divorce, there's a whole litany of zombies that come into our lives. And the one factor that's consistent with every warrior, and you just exhibited it in spades, was they don't focus on that. They move past that. They keep moving forward. And it's always incredible to me how little focus that warriors have on those zombies that they've encountered along the road. And that to me is one of the most fascinating things. And one of the things that I hope my 5 millennial children learn, frankly, as we go through, is that we all experience these zombies. If we choose to focus on them, that's what we're going to feel. And if we focus forward, which you've obviously done, we can see the real value of that. So that's beautiful. I mean, that is crazy. And how many, you said, how many organizations did you join after you jumped out of
52.
Well, okay, so I thought I was a serial community builder and networker. That's one of my life purposes at this point, and you've got me beat by a lot. So,
Well, let me say at the end of 2005, I was exhausted. And that's why I started my own networking group, because I'm like, okay, let me just start one.
okay, so yeah, we do have that in common. I retired in 2005, believe it or not. Our timelines are very similar from the corporate world. And I said, okay, I need to get plugged into the community that I said I wanted to impact. And so I started going to CEO NetWeavers and all these other groups, trying to learn, pinged into Success North Dallas, Bill Wallace, those guys, and a lot of different groups. Richardson Plano Networkers was kind of a fluke. And then next thing I know, okay, I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to lead this group. I'm going to do that. So I totally get that. Let's do this. I really want to keep moving, and I really want to make sure that we give, because of the fact that we're live in the hive, because this is BeeKonnected is a lot of what's making this possible and allowing us to take things with this podcast and with our networking to the next level. I'm really honored and was really excited that episode 33, I could feature the CEO and founder of BeeKonnected, Tonya Hoffman, to share with us kind of why we're doing this, why she's doing what she's doing, why you're the value you see that you're providing, and if anything were possible, where would this go? So with that, we're going to take another quick break. We're going to hear a little bit more of Ricky Jean Wright, and then we'll be right back to hear more about Tonya Hoffman and where we're going and where she's going with this BeeKonnected platform. All right, we're back. And now we're into the third segment and we're here. And Tonya, you know what, all of the things I always want to hear. And I always want to hear this from, I don't care if you're running a multi-billion-dollar company, which I've worked with CEOs that are doing that, to you're just a person that wakes up in the morning and doesn't know why they're here. But I want to hear what it is, what the unique why or reason that you believe you have here, or what for yourself and for the company, and then what unique value you're providing, and if anything were possible, where would this go? So share with us your thoughts there.
Well, with BeeKonnected, it goes back from 2005 when I was networking and I was trying to connect people. And so when I created the whole idea of algorithms and artificial intelligence, because I saw the dating sites, I'm like, if they can put people together for love, why can't it work for businesses? And so I immediately, said, okay, figured it out, found my co-partner, Mr. Johnny Reed. So JR has been instrumental because of his past history and, being a warrior himself, being a Marine, very strategic. I needed to find a yin to my yang, right? I needed to find someone that was opposite from me. And I think that's what a lot of entrepreneurs don't do, is find people that can support them that are completely different than them. They all want to surround themselves with their own little peeps, But, we spent, now over $1 million creating the connection generator so that people can easily and simply find the people that they should know with their same target market, so they can have real impact in their business immediately. And then now with the whole Live in the Hive and all of our incredible groups that people can create, it brings me back to, the way that I transitioned myself from an introvert into an international speaker. Because if you had told me when I was a kid I was going to be a speaker, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. So in 2006, to get over the fear of my voice and start to get out, of my comfort zone, I went into AM radio, and it aired throughout the state of Texas. It was $800 an episode every single week. And I did it for 4 months. And I was like, okay, I wasn't getting enough bang for my buck. And so I quickly moved from that to podcasting. It went to 5 million listeners, but I still wasn't transitioning and finding people that wanted to do business with me. And so I went from 5 million to 0 on YouTube. And people thought I was crazy because that was kind of in the early days of YouTube. But immediately I found that video, people love seeing eyeballs, right? They want to see your personality. They want to feel, not just hear you, but feel you at the same time. And so immediately from YouTube, even though there was hardly any, watchers, I found new clients. And so with YouTube, it's so hard because there's so many people. YouTube does not promote you. So it was just a slow growth for years. Then I found a platform called Blab. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Blab, but I became a blabber. And I became a Blab star. And it was very easy because it was a small community. And people loved, they would see somebody in that would be on their show, and they're like, oh, Tonya's here, she's got a great show, come on in. And suddenly we were creating with each other. And I got more business from that than anything I've ever done until the spam and trollers showed up, and then the company couldn't figure out how to monetize. So it went away. But that's where we focused our efforts and our energies on with Live in the Hive and BeeKonnected, is so that people they could market their show to the entire database so that people could come like, oh my gosh, I want to find out about David's show. That sounds like a cool show. So it's an easy way for people to cross promote and market themselves in a very secure way so that the spam and the trollers aren't really allowed to come in. And if they do, it's easy to get them out. So, it's kind of all of those things that I always make things like I would want it and then make it for other people to enjoy and take advantage of.
So that's really cool. And I really love that because actually understanding what it is that inspires you and then making that outreach, if you will, to provide that platform to other people is makes all kinds of sense, but it's brilliant in its own way. One of the things you mentioned, the spam, the platform, that kind of thing, and that's one of the things that a lot of people don't really get. And I want to park there just a little bit. I mean, we don't spend a lot of time on it, but that's one of the things about your platform and Be Connected that I've really found is it really is where the people that are participating on the platform have their platform and they are being able to intentionally reach their audience and their audience is being able to intentionally connect with them without, like you said, the trolls. Um, Now we're seeing censorship on other platforms, or if they don't like your message or they think they're advertisers because it's not about you. These free platforms, I don't care whether you're talking LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I mean, I'm on all of those platforms of thousands of connections and or followers on those. But it's not about it's about them. It's about them catching and getting monetizing your eyeballs, not about you building your business. Now even in YouTube. So when this replay is played, if we don't do something by their standards, we could go away, right? But we can't go away, or we aren't going away in the hive, right? We're going. So that to me, that's a value proposition. Is that align, if you will, with your mindset in terms of where we're going, if anything were possible with this, and then where do we take that? If anything were possible, what would the impact of your efforts and your vision here look like?
Yeah, when I created the whole idea and I sat down with Mr. Reed and we looked at what do we want to create, and I said, I am tired of people just reaching out for it's just a one-sided conversation. Or even worse, oh, you're so beautiful, I want to talk to you. I'm like, stop it, where can we go to do business? Where can we go to be a part of a community where people aren't just there to spam you and not care about you? And so, what I love, love, love about all the testimonials that we get is that people, and it's not 100% because who is, that they connect with people that they just kind of connect, and it's a real connection, it's a real relationship. And just like with any relationship, some are very short relationships and some are very long. Now you found your new best friend. But it's also about business. How can we help support each other in the growth of the business? It always brings me back to the relationships even like I'm just selling my house in Austin. I've had the relationship with a realtor for 15, 20 years now. And he is going way beyond because why? Because we are friends. Even though it's business friends, we're still there to support each other. And he knows I've got his back and he's got mine. That's what I wanted for our community, is for people to feel like that they can actually go and find people who say, I'll have your back on this. And then it actually happens. So it's exciting to see it happen. And then to just see people like yourself, David, shine as our stars on the hive. You have no idea how happy that makes me, to have that kind of quality connection for people and show so that they can actually learn something each day. It's just incredible.
Well, I got to tell you, Tonya, with each passing day, I am becoming more and more aware and supportive of the platform, and having invested way more than those 10,000 hours in building community in a face-to-face networking environment to build our Richardson Plano networkers from 14 people to almost 1,700 people now. And having that, building that community, we say every week, multiple times a week, people do business with people they know, like, and most importantly, trust. And the thing is, getting trust in the online environment like we get within our face-to-face networking communities is really tough. And it's not easy to find. It's still, everything in all those other platforms is how do you manipulate the platform to get to the right people. And frankly, there's so much noise and so much volume out there. I've told people a number of times, I get 35 to 40 requests a day from LinkedIn to connect with people that haven't even looked at my profile. They don't even know who I am. And the thing is, I don't even know if they're real or not. And within BeeKonnected, and I will give this testimonial for you, and I think I've shared this with you before, is I've never used dating software, but I've been fascinated by the connections that the connection generator, your artificial intelligence, has offered up to me, and how I look at somebody's public profile and I say, yeah, okay. I mean, I run my life by divine appointment, so I'll meet with anybody, and I'll have a one-to-one, and I'm going, wow, where was this person? This person is, I mean, it's just, it kind of blows me away every time, because there's so much more alignment than I even could have imagined when I looked at their public profile. So if that makes you happy, I can tell you that is the truth. So,
I love it.
so tell me this, and we're going to end this segment, and we're going to close it down. In the next segment, it'll be that segment will be a little short, and that is, if anything were possible, how big would BeeKonnected be? What is your vision? Is it a billion members, like, um, you know, like any of these other platforms, or is it something less than that? Can you just give me a little bit of your insight there for the audience?
Yeah, we've got a realistic goal of 1 million members by the end of the year. The people that are coming on right now are huge in the influence, world of coaching and speaking. We've got huge organizations that are like, oh, this is a no-brainer. That's exciting to see how many people are looking at us to go, this is what we've been looking for. This is exactly the whole reason that we want to get off of Facebook, that we want to, stop using LinkedIn, get away from those cold, kind of almost heartless type of, companies that are only there to, get data mining, and really get to people who want to make a difference. And so to me, if we could say we get just to 1 million people, that's 1 million people that we can really change their lives. And then it just expands from there, because it's just kind of like Clubhouse. They went from 1,500 to 10 million in a year. We see the same thing. Once people find out and they're like, what do you mean you haven't heard of BeeKonnected, right? It's kind of that thing with any of these platforms. It's like, oh, wow, this is the place to come. And that's exciting to see that there's going to be more and more connections all the time. And that, but yet it's still got the same rules. It's still got the same rules against the trolls and the spammers. So if I'm not at 1 billion, it's because I don't want all the, the 500,000 of, spammers that they could stay away.
Yeah, I totally get that, and frankly, the theme song of this podcast, it's not how many people know your name. Um, it's really how can you invest your time, and you want to do that with intention, and you want to invest it with people that are going to get value from it. And then from that, if you're doing that with enough people, as we always say, your uh, goals will be achieved, or your vision will be achieved. Well, let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come back. And for those in the studio audience, if you had a burning question that came up in this podcast, one of the reasons why I'm doing it with this format is I often listen to podcasts and I say, well, I wish I could have asked them this particular question. This isn't like stump the guest or stump the moderator. So, but if there's any comment and or question that you have in this fourth segment, I'd ask you to open your mic. If not, that's okay. And Tonya, what we'll want to talk about is any major takeaways that you would hope we would get from this particular episode, and then if anything were possible, how or really how can we stay in touch with you? What's the best way to do that? Because I'm sure everybody listening and watching this is going to be wanting to figure out how to follow up with you. So with that, we'll take a quick break, hear a little more of Ricky Jean Wright, and we'll be back with what I call the Land the Planes segment of Warrior versus Zombie with Tonya Hoffman. All right, and now we're back. How's that? We got this done, and we're right on the 30-minute timeline that we're at, and we just got a few more minutes to go. But if you in the audience, Randy, Jason, anybody in the audience, if you have a quick question for Tonya, or go ahead and open up your mic, and I will engage you. Randy, go ahead.
We
Okay.
can't hear you.
Unfortunately, Randy, I'm not able to hear you. So if you have a question, you can go ahead and type it in the chat. And this is one of the things we're working on is as I say, trying to make this format work for our shows. And we have an integration between our webinar platform and BeeKonnected. And that's one of the reasons why we want to test this. And this is good. Okay, so if you, Randy, if you want to go ahead and type, if you have a question in the chat, that would be great. Tonya, let me ask you this question. My burning question really is, there's so many things you've overcome, and there's so many things that I see you doing, and I think the audience can learn from not only your history, but also the things that you're doing moving forward. If we were to take away any one or two things from this podcast or from our time with you, what would that look like? What would that be?
You know, I'm not a real big quote person, but there was a quote that changed my life. I found it at a grocery store of all places. It was on a card, and it was by an unknown author, and it said, "Life is not about creating yourself. Oh no, life is not about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself." And I'm like, all this time I've been trying, who's Tonya? Find out who is Tonya, you know, and when I could just go out and create it. And that was like the huge moment in my life that I'm like, okay, who does Tonya want to be? And then I went out there and I made who I wanted to become. And then the other one is used to have a sticker note like on everywhere around the house. And now I just do it, you know, just because you get used to just doing something. And that is to every single day there for a while, I would push myself and try to do something new and something that challenged me. And what I found is that a lot of people would look at me and they were like, wow, you just did that. That's amazing. But it was all the little things that I knew that I did that no one would ever know that it was impressive to me, right? Especially being an introvert trying to do extrovert type things. And so I had a challenge for myself is not just do it, but wow myself every day, because I'm the only one that knows if I actually wowed myself, because actually it's easier to wow other people than it is to wow yourself. And so when I started doing that and forcing myself to go, okay, well, how are you going to wow yourself today, Tonya? It really forced me to get out of my comfort zone and do something that I'm like, I am so proud of myself for doing that.
Wow. Okay, so there's so much brilliance in that. I just want to for just for the audience, because you said several things. First of all, we are of similar vintage. I'm sure I'm older than you, but the finding yourself meme or whatever, and there weren't that many memes back then, was when I got out of college, that was, I'm going to go find myself, that's kind of thing. And creating yourself is really what we're all about. The other thing you talked about has several components, which is no growth, no change, really no happiness is really within your comfort zone, because we as humans, we always have to face both challenge and support to be healthy and to be growing and to be happy. And so what you said was you constantly daily pushed yourself and recommend that warrior. And I think most warriors who feel successful and are out there are doing just that. The other thing is that I reflected, and really this is based upon my current situation, is I'm back to playing golf every day, or not every day, but frequently. And that's always, I'm never about competing with the other guys or the other people I'm playing with, but in fact, just improving my game every day. And somebody can be impressed with the shot that I did, but if it isn't improving, even if it was a good shot as a result, if I'm not growing myself, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, that is not as good as if I am growing myself, even if the result isn't what I'd hoped for. So that's also beautiful. Randy asked a question. He said, given your goals for BeeKonnected, really, where would you say you are or we are today, and how, towards achieving those goals?
Yeah, we knew it was going to take, a year and a half to 2 years to build this huge infrastructure and pay for it all. And so it really is right on the money. And we knew that we had to be completely out of beta in order to really move forward quickly, and especially to get the eyeballs of these incredible influencers and just incredible people and organizations to make them feel comfortable that they can come in and have a great time and do the things that they want to get done and accomplish. And so the more we can support them, the more it supports BeeKonnected. So it really is at that moment where, there's like that little baby line, and then all of a sudden it just shoots up. We are at that little, crossroads where everything's about to just explode.
Well, I often am asked, where are we with, you keep talking about BeeKonnected, and I think I'm number 147 of the on the member number. So I've been around for before we even launched, and we are at the early. My take is we are at the early innovators stage. And if you understand market adoption or technology adoption from business school, which I had, you'll know that we haven't reached that inflection point that you're talking about yet, and there's a lot of growth to occur. The other thing is, as far as I see, and again, thank you, that I think what you're saying makes all kinds of sense, is that this platform isn't going to be, we're not growing in a way to just throw a bunch of money at it and from outside investors. The thing I was watching out for, because all these other platforms, they became something that maybe the founders didn't intend for them to be, because they got outside money who only cared about the money, and therefore monetizing and getting a return on their investment. Not that you and JR and whoever don't want a return on investment. That's not the case, but we're growing in support of and at the pace of the community that is getting on board. And I think that's one of the things that I see is where we're at, is it really is up to not only the people who have shows and the people who are got on it a month ago or whatever, but also people that are getting on today, is we all have a chance and an opportunity to form what BeeKonnected becomes. And that's one of the most beautiful things I see about it. So any other thoughts, Tonya, before we wrap it up? And how do we stay in touch with you? I think I know the answer to that, but I'm going to let you say it.
Well, you can always get in touch with me only on BeeKonnected. People reach out to me on LinkedIn and Facebook and whatever. I'm like, you can only connect with me on, BeeKonnected. So it's very easy. Just look me up, Tonya, Tonya. Don't try to spell Hoffman. It's one F, two N's. Everyone always gets it wrong. And then final thoughts, get connected, be connected to amazing people. That's what this whole world is about. No matter if you're looking for, business growth or just a great new friend or who knows what else. It's about really getting to know people. So take the time, and if you don't want to, stay off of BeeKonnected.
Well, Tonya, I really appreciate um, your you're taking the time with me and with the audience and sharing your vision, sharing why you're doing your story. All those things have been very valuable. So, and I will be, as this show goes, since we're live in the Hive, any warriors in the BeeKonnected community that would like to be a featured guest on Warrior versus Zombie, now you know what it looks like. I would encourage you to reach out to me, connect with me on BeeKonnected. We'll have a one-to-one. We'll get to know each other a little bit like Tonya and I have. And then I will be honored and happy to feature you. This episode is intended to be, our show is intended to be a regular 11 a.m. on Thursdays going forward, Central Time. And we will also, again, the audio will be published as well as the video on YouTube. On our YouTube channel, the audio will also be published on all the podcasting platforms. So with that, we'll hear a final rendition or the closing of It's Not the Getting There with Ricky Jean Wright for the audio listeners. And we'll be back next week with episode 34 of Warrior versus Zombie. And thank you, Tonya. Thank you. I've been totally blessed by this conversation. I know the audience has as well. And I truly appreciate everything you're doing in this community. So everybody else, have a beautiful day.